Professor Black Ops. You see it. Let's get it. Linux Malware Brute Force on SSH servers. Let's check on Linux, see what's going on. Linux new malware brute force SSH servers to breach network. Most people have SSH servers. You know, they do host and bastion servers to let their admins work on their servers. So let's see what's going on. A new botnet called RapperBot is being used to attack since mid-June 2022. Focus on brute force its way into Linux SSH servers to establish a foothold on devices. Most SSH servers are open to the internet too, so it makes it a little easier to attack them. Research shows that the RapperBot is based on the Mirai trojan, but deviates from the original malware normal behavior, which is uncontrolled propagation to as many devices as possible. Instead, the RapperBot is more tightly controlled, has limited DDoS capabilities, and its operation appears geared towards initial server access, likely to be used as a stepping stone for lateral movement within a network. Over the past 1.5 months since its discovery, the new botnet used over 3,500 unique IPs worldwide to scan and attempt to brute force Linux SSH servers. Mirai based but different, the new botnet was discovered in the wild by threat hunters at Fortinet, who noticed an IoT malware featuring some unusual SSH related strings and decided to investigate further. The RapperBot proved to be a Mirai fork, but with its own commands and control 2 protocol, unique features and atypical for a botnet post-compromise activity. Unlike the majority of the Mirai variants, which natively brute force telnet servers using default or weak passwords, the RapperBot exclusively scans and attempts to brute force SSH servers configured to set password authentications. That's why a lot of SSH servers you should use keys or access codes, especially if you use AWS, right? So you usually generate your keys, put them on the box for authentication. Best is just to use System Manager and just skip over the SSH server. The bulk of the malware code contains an implementation of SSH 2.0 client that can be connected and brute force any SSH server that supports Diffie-Hellmann key exchange with 768-bit or 2048-bit keys and data encryption using AES 128 CTR. A lot of people use AES too, and 248 is a pretty large key to be brute forcing, but obviously they got it figured out. The SSH brute force relies on a list of credentials downloaded from the C2 via host unique TCP request, while the malware reports back to the C2 when it's succeeded. Fortinet researchers followed a bot and continue to sample new variants, noticing the RapperBot used the self-propagation mechanism via remote binary downloader, which were removed by the threat actors in mid-July. New variants circulating at the time featured a shell command that replaced the victim's SSH keys with the actors, essentially establishing a presence that were maintained after the SSH password was changed. Moreover, the RapperBot added a system to append the actor's SSH keys to the host authorized keys, which help maintain access to servers between reboots or even if the malware is found and deleted. In most recent sample analyzed by researchers, the bots add root users, SU helper on the compromised endpoints, and create a cron job that re-adds the users every hour in case an admin discovers and that account and deletes it, right? So that shows you that kind of in a nutshell what that attack looks like. So you got a DDoS attack, infected IoT, got the RapperBot, once again the SSH keys, the root keys, UDP and TCP, calls out to the C2 server, loads the server with the malware, installs RapperBots on the server. Those are the SSH servers over there. So once again, you know, you it's interesting. You got to check those cron jobs to make sure you know which cron jobs and who assigned them to, right? Because once they compromise your box, they created a cron job, which is basically a scheduler to add it back in, right? So That's shout out to Fortinet. They discovered that and walked through it. It's also worth noting the malware authors added extra layers of obfuscation to strings in the later samples, like XOR encoding. That's the plain text. That shows you over there. I don't even know what language is that. Stack strings. I've never heard of that. So basically, that's an array and the SSH keys with the password. So that's what they did to try to hide their steps. RapperBot's goal: most botnets either perform DDoS attack or engage in coin mining by hijacking the host's available computation resource. Some do both. The goal of RapperBot, however, isn't evident, as the authors have kept its DDoS function limited and even removed or reintroduced them at some point. Also, the removal of self-propagation in addition to persistence and detection avoidance mechanism indicates the botnet operators may be interested in initial access sales to ransomware actors. Right, so they get on your box and they sell it to ransomware actors to actually encrypt your stuff and sell it to you for the ransomware. Because if I sell it to you, I'm not gonna get caught because I'm not officially doing ransomware on your box, even though I opened up the hole to let the ransomware get on it. Right. Fortinet reports that it's an analyst saw no additional payloads delivered post compromise during the monitoring period, so malware just nested in the infested Linux host and sits dormant for a while. But once again, you can sell it to the malware team. You can use it for crypto mining. So there's some other things you can do with it. Once again, Linux, it used to didn't have a lot of attacks, but it's becoming more popular, right? A lot of big companies are using it to run on it. For me, I love Linux. So when I'm in AWS, I actually run the Amazon Linux too. But once again, Linux malware, brute force. Be safe out there. Please subscribe.